press my luck. Steve's game with you?
No.
Hey. How are you? We did?
Hey, you got any info on this fly?
Fax it to me. I took my son, my 11-year-old son, quail hunting for the first time.
How'd you go?
Man, it was awesome. I mean, he had never, we shot a shotgun, but never really.
I talked to Trevor Wade again, and he said he was waiting to hear back from
5 stars. Friday afternoon, we were able to shoot 5 stars. And then it was raining Saturday morning.
But in fact,
So we ended up doing a bunker hunt.
Yeah,
Have
rain's hard.
you ever done the bunker hunt? Turns out that was a better way to start it because you're stationary, you know where the birds are coming from, and so he could do that. And then we got out in the field, and the first bird the dog pointed was single pheasant, rooster pheasant, and he got up and was left to right. It flew pretty good. So his first shot in the first shot in the field, and he misses the first one, tagged him in the second. So I was just like, all right, like, and then he ended up killing 4 or 5. Honestly, after watching the 5 6 months.
Wow. Well, great when you spend time with your son.
He's killed a couple of deer. He's killed a couple of deer, but after this, he's like, man, Dad, this is so much better. Tell me.
Yeah, that's great. We just kind of hung around the lake.
No, we didn't do anything exciting. So you hung around a little bit. We were at the lake weekend. Went out there and just looked at it. My man went out there with his metal detector. Found rusty nails. Well, he only lasted like 20 minutes doing it. And he wanted me to do it so that he could pick up the nails and put them in. He had a little pouch. Found like this whole rusty nails, beer can. That was great.
I didn't know where to go. You don't care to hear.
Really?
He's out there.
We had to get our little section of the lake and one of my boys decided to get out that far too.
Oh, okay. That's the goal. Right.
We found it, yes. I don't think we found any value in it. By the way, totally the right call.
Yeah, working on it. Video he did. AI video.
Even if
Okay. And I'm moving.
didn't you say you have a 72 volt?
Yeah. What's that?
I'm back. More pictures. I'm doing well.
So you're not going.
Which is the one that currently
Yes, it is.
Clerk, I see 1 o'clock. If you would, please call the roll.
Senator Albritton. Here. Senator Carnley. Here. Senator Chambliss. Here. Senator Coleman. Senator Gudger. Senator Hatcher. Here. Senator Kelly. Here. Senator Coleman Madison. Senator Hovey. Senator Elliott.
Here, we have a quorum. First bill on the calendar is SB 298 by Senator Barfoot. Members, you'll recall we've already had a public hearing on this and lengthy discussion, but I would ask Senator Barfoot to give us a very brief overview, and then we'll take some questions if we got them.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee members. Appreciate the opportunity to be back in front of you today, discuss a very important piece of legislation, especially as it relates to the city of Montgomery. As you remember, might remember this legislation is a very simple piece of legislation. Essentially, it establishes a minimum standards of police per 1,000 members as according to the 2020 census. If that number is not met, then ALEA has the opportunity, if during the grace period that municipality does not increase that funding level by 10% of the deficit year over year, ALEA would have the opportunity, not mandated, but may come into that local jurisdiction, set up an operational plan, establish contracts, if you will, with other jurisdictions, including the Sheriff's Department, to make sure that that there are enough sworn officers in that jurisdiction. This, as I said last week, is not a state versus city. This is a good guy versus bad guy, and it's an effort to get law enforcement in adequate numbers in the municipality so that we have the ability to fight crime. be happy to take it.
Thank you, Senator Barfoot. I'd like to, committee, if we can, get on the bill, so I'd like to do a motion in a second and then have a discussion. So do I hear a motion? I have a motion by Senator Kelly and a second by Senator Chandler. So we're on the bill. Discussion. Senator Albritton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Senator, we have had a discussion on this earlier on, and I appreciate your bringing this forward. This is you've termed it a good and bad guy kind of. I'm just trying to sort out who the good and who the bad are in some of this. But I've got several concerns, one of which is the growth pattern when you base this upon a number of police per such population that allows an initial growth. And the other is, where are we now in regards to that criteria? Is it going to require an immediate action or not? I don't know that yet. The other aspect is the cost. This puts a great a potential burden on the state in regard to this and the funding sources and such. I think this is a great idea, and we need to look at this so that we can make sure that we have the proper safety concerns in every municipality and throughout the state. But we've got to deal with this in a fiscal way in determining how we're going to fund this and how it's going and who's going to be paying for it. And I look for the opportunity to work those details out between now and floor time, if you don't mind.
Yes, sir.
So, members, forgive me, just a little housekeeping here real quick. I just saw an amendment, Senator Hatcher, that you have that we didn't get in our packets. And we've got a motion and a second on the bill already. I need to know how you would like to proceed. Would you like to debate this amendment? And if so, we need to withdraw it. But I'm listening to what the general fund just said and reading your amendment.
And he's not going to like my
He ain't going to like
amendment
it. So I just need a little guidance on how you'd like to handle this.
We can, if possible, Mr. Chairman, we can adopt the amendment.
Okay, so let me procedurally, we'll need to withdraw the motion in the second to debate the amendment. So who made the motion? Senator Kelly, would you mind withdrawing your motion, withdrawing your second? All in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, now we're going to be back on the Hatcher amendment, which I need to pass out. And so 1, 2, 3, 4. There's that. 1, 2, 3. That way. There we go. And so, members, as that's being passed out, essentially, it doesn't take long to look at it all. It basically adds a section in Section 4 that says all costs incurred under this act shall be paid using funds appropriated for that purpose from the state general fund. I think we're going to do Senator Hatcher and then Senator Albritton on the amendment. So,
Yes.
Senator Hatcher. Yes.
Well, again, this is an unfunded mandate, and my position is, if we're going to do this, then let's make sure the state has the burden of paying for this, and so I'm going to say so moved, and have him second it if he will.
Senator Albritton, would you like to second it for discussion purposes only?
I would like to speak. This is Pandora's box. If the state starts absorbing the cost for every municipality's or any municipality's responsibility for safety, public safety, while we might be able to do that, we can't do it without the funds to do so. And you're right, Senator Hatcher. One is a unfunded mandate, and this is an unfunded mandate without. We've got to work this out fiscally. I would suggest, if we may, in the discussions that we have, Senator Hatcher, I'm going to ask that you withdraw the amendment so that we can have these discussions between now and before it gets to the floor. Because if we don't have a funding issue solved, we can't move forward with any of this. That would be my request.
I have Senator Coleman Madison.
Thank you, sir. We don't have a funding mechanism for the bill as it is. It does
You're correct.
create an unfunded mandate, and according to the fiscal note, it says increase the annual obligation of Class 3 municipalities, and at this time it's more than one, by an undetermined amount. And then you've got a penalty that penalizes these cities if you are not in compliance. You know, the issue is, how can you get in compliance when the supply is not there? Local municipalities, especially rural and small counties, are going to be hurt, because now you're going to have a recruitment grab frenzy to get officers to try to meet this mandate. And where are you going to get them from? You're going to get them from your smaller cities that are in close proximity, because anybody that's too far away is not going to be able to do that. It's not going to be cost effective for them. So you're going to be robbing your smaller cities over here to try to make up for the difference that you don't have here. At the same time, as I understand, Aaliyah has what? They say 500. How many employees, troopers or whatever that they have out on? They don't have enough right to cover the whole state. They don't have 1,000 right now, as I understand. And so you're going to be borrowing resources from them. The timing of this, unless, I think what should have been put in here was some kind of funding mechanism. The other thing is that since we're talking about municipalities, obviously the city of Montgomery is not going to be willing to put in any money, because the mayor has already said that this was not in their budget and they are working on it. And so I just think that this is kind of like a solution looking for a problem. I think they're doing the best they can with the resources they have, as all cities are. There's a shortage, and unless you can find some way statewide to deal with that, this is going to always be an issue.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Senator Albritton.
Thank you. Senator Barfoot and Senator Hatcher are both trying to bring legislation to help make Montgomery safe. I understand that. That's the goal here. My concern is also the safety of our people in Alabama and all cities. But keep in mind that we, meaning the state, we have already voted and are providing services for a portion of Montgomery for safety already. And we are also providing, Aaliyah is providing also police services to other cities without compensation. Now, if this is a growing trend on what we're doing, we as a state have got to make a decision on what we're going to do with this, if we're going to do it, and by what means. So my point is that we do need to keep our people safe, but we've got to make sure that we do it responsibly, properly, and that we have the money to do it with, and where that money is going to come from.
Senator Coleman.
I just want a clarification just quickly. The bill that we passed does not include all of Montgomery.
It does not. It's a small defined boundary.
Basically,
That is correct.
Downtown tourist.
But it is
area.
within the city limits of Montgomery. It is covering avenues that is typically done by the municipal
Right, so I
police.
don't want people to get confused.
Senator Coleman.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. And I'm definitely not questioning the sponsors, the gentleman's heart, and why he is moving forward with this piece of legislation. I just don't think this is how you get there. So I just kind of respectfully disagree. And, you know, if you really want to have an opportunity to increase the number of officers, we ought to be offering some type of incentive. And this doesn't do that. To the general fund chair, just my challenge there in asking the gentleman to hold back his amendment to protect the coffers of the city that he represents. When it looks as if the posture of the committee is that this bill is going to move forward, that's kind of in my opinion, a hard ask. We had the mayor here, we had the police chief here that already had discussions about budgetary issues, the direction that the department is going in. And I just don't know how we ask the gentleman to hold back on his amendment when this bill itself would be an unfunded mandate for the cities of Montgomery in addition to Huntsville. And I also heard today that in Huntsville, for those folks that feel like they may not be impacted at this point, that as of right now, they have 2.1 officers per 1,000. And so if a few people decide to leave and go to the state or somewhere else or retire, they can also be impacted, in addition to the amount of population that is getting ready to go into the city of Huntsville due to all of these federal facilities that are coming in. So just for the folks that in Huntsville think that they may not be impacted, they may want to kind of think about it. So I just want to support the gentleman today. I said a whole lot last week just about, policing as a whole across the country, that there is a PR issue with policing. That is not the city of Montgomery's fault. That's not the city of Huntsville's fault. That's not the city of Birmingham's fault that people don't want to go into policing. It's not any of these cities' fault that the bad guys, so when the gentleman talked about the good guys and the bad guys, the bad guys have all of these military-style weapons. And sometimes, right now, because we don't even have licensure, we don't have to get a pistol permit, we don't have to do any of that anymore. How do you even identify who the bad guys are? And so there are all of these other issues that I think that if we looked at the issue as a whole, and again, not questioning the gentleman's heart, know him, work well with him, I just don't think that this gets us where we need to be as far as recruitment of officers, financing for officers, in addition to providing law enforcement officers the tools that they need in order to get the bad guy. As long as we have easy access to weapons, as long as we have, the bad guys with, all of these, and one time in my life, I have been in vicinity of someone who had a military-style weapon that didn't know how to use it at a community event in Brighton some years ago. And somebody, he didn't know how to use it. And by the grace of God, more people were not hit. We had a child that was hit that day. We had one person that was killed. I was on the other side with a group of people. I hit the ground. We got to get those weapons off the streets so our law enforcement officers can also be protected. So until we kind of look at this thing holistically, there are folks that are not going to go into policing. Therefore, we won't be able to recruit. And therefore, the impact of this bill is going to be that the state of Alabama is going to have to provide more resources for Montgomery, Huntsville, Birmingham, and whomever. And especially if, as Montgomery and Huntsville have to recruit from smaller, as my colleague has said, from smaller surrounding municipalities, then we have smaller areas now that are going to not have the police officers. So I just really wish that as we're asking the gentleman to pull back his amendment, that we really take some time to study this if we really want to do the things to recruit officers and protect police officers so they can go home to their families at night. And that's, I know we carried it over 1 week already. Would ask that we carry it over again if at all possible. And if we can't carry it over, I'm going to support the gentleman's amendment. So this does not impose an unfunded mandate on the city of Montgomery and Huntsville.
So Senator Hatcher, you wanted to speak to the amendment that's been offered. Right now, that's what we're on. Okay, so do we already have a second on it? We already have a second on the amendment. So if you wanted to say anything else on the amendment, we could do that. Anybody else? I have a small comment that I'd like to make as it relates to local governments. You'll appreciate this. You'll appreciate this. I know I will as former county commissioners. We spend $1 billion a year, counties do, on prisons. Our county just spent $70 million on a jail expansion to house prisoners. And so we put mandates and requirements on locals all the time, huge ones, and our county government certainly absorb over $1 billion of those requirements as well. And so that's just peanut gallery observation that I thought was helpful to this discussion. Hey, Senator Hovey.
This is what we call an unfunded.
Okay, so Jay, you're up here with your bike. Come on. Sorry, you don't get out that easy. So we have a motion and a second on the amendment. Senator Albritton, any further comments on the amendment? Okay. Clerk, if you would call the roll on the amendment.
Senator Albritton? No. Senator Carnley? No. Senator Chambliss? No. Senator Coleman? Aye. Senator Gudger? Senator Hatcher? Aye. Senator Kelly? No. Senator Coleman Madison?
Aye.
Senator Hovey? No. Senator Elliott?
No. Okay, so the amendment fails, and then we need a motion and a second back on the bill. Senator Kelly? I have a motion by Senator Kelly. I have a second by Senator Chambliss. Any further discussion on the bill? Yes, sir.
One question for you, Senator Barfoot. Are you familiar with the Montgomery Metro Area Crime Suppression Group?
I am.
Do you see that as a remedy to portions of your bill?
I see that as being helpful. Also, in regards to unfunded mandate, and if I could, Mr. Chairman, have a little latitude in trying to answer his question.
Of course.
The Metro Area Crime Suppression Unit is something that the taxpayers of the state of Alabama have funded by way of our votes. I think that is a great tool that has been used to great success in Montgomery. But that is not meant to be an extended thing. That is not meant to be the taxpayers from around the state to pay for what goes on here in the city that both you and I love, right? So that is a Band-Aid approach. This, in fact, and I've heard the words unfunded mandate used, I would argue that it is not an unfunded mandate. You heard last week, the police chief as well as the mayor indicate that there have been bonuses that have just been voted on, that I understand that police officers have received a 20% pay increase. That is an attempt by the city of Montgomery to address those recruitment and retention issues, and I applaud them for that. In addition to that, over the past several years, it's my understanding that the budget for the city of Montgomery has included about 475 individual officers that have been budgeted for, of which now I understand, although it's very difficult to get the information, but somewhere around 220 to 230 officers is all that we have. The city of Montgomery has already budgeted for an amount over and above anything that this bill calls for. As it relates to the state of Alabama taking on any additional financial elements, that's simply not the case, because first of all, the state doesn't have to come in if Montgomery, by way of an example, is a Class 3 municipality, does not meet those benchmarks, which, by the way, are fairly minimum benchmarks of 10% improvement in the delta between the number needed and the number that they have over a 5-year period, that at any point in time that the city of Montgomery is not meeting those benchmarks, ALEA can, it doesn't say shall, it says may, come in and do the things that are outlined in this bill, of which one of them is provide additional resources if they have them at ALEA. But the second part of that equation is something that's very important, and I'll read it from line 87. It is enter into cooperative enforcement agreements with the county sheriff, who, by the way, in Montgomery, we're thankful to have the National Sheriff of the Year. Is also fully, the sheriff's office is fully staffed, adjacent jurisdiction, or other state agencies. So from the standpoint of resources from ALEA being used, yes, that is the possibility if Montgomery doesn't qualify, if Montgomery doesn't make those improvements, and if ALEA deems it necessary to come in under those circumstances. But there's a whole host of things that Montgomery or ALEA could do to help Montgomery, including the county sheriff, adjacent jurisdiction, or other state agencies. And then I would also say, as far as any reimbursement to the state of Alabama, to your question about max, people think it's the Montgomery area crime suppression. It's not. It's the metro area crime suppression. We are thankful, I think, that has been indicated, involved in the city of Montgomery. Grateful for that and the progress that they've made. But again, that's taxpayers from around the state who have funded that. This proposal says if those benchmarks are not met, and if ALEA gets involved, and if ALEA, i.e. the state of Alabama, expends resources, that there's a mechanism for the city of Montgomery to reimburse them for those resources expended. Again, Montgomery's already budgeted thankfully, 475 for 475 or thereabout officers. It's not a lack of resources that the city of Montgomery has. It is something other than that, and we need to allow Leah to help citizens of Montgomery.
Thank you, Senator Barfoot. Any further discussion? Senator Coleman Madison.
Senator Barfoot, you said that they may, in your bill, it says they shall reimburse. Would you mind an amendment to that effect, that the state agencies may be reimbursed?
No, the may that I spoke of is that Aaliyah may come in and exercise some authority that's outlined, I believe, in Section 3.
Okay, can we add a may be reimbursed?
I would be totally against that, and I think the taxpayers of the state of Alabama would be against that may reimbursement, because the taxpayers of the state of Alabama are funding what's happening in Montgomery now without any type of reimbursement from the city of Montgomery. And by the way, I would also add that the mayor and the police chief said here last week that that they thought that they would be in compliance. Guess what? I hope that's the case, because I don't want to have any state interaction. And if they are in compliance with those numbers, guess what? Then this is 5 pages of meaningless stuff, because Montgomery would be in compliance. I applaud Montgomery and hope that they are.
Further questions? Clerk, call the roll.
Senator Albritton? Aye. Senator Carnley? Aye. Senator Chambliss? Aye. Senator Coleman? No. Senator Gedger? Senator Hatcher? No. Senator Kelly? Aye. Senator Coleman Madison? No. Senator Hovey? Aye. Senator Elliott?
Aye. Bill receives a favorable report. Thank you, Senator Barfoot.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee members.
Yes, sir, absolutely. Next up, we have SB 91. Senator Melson, welcome. Members, you have there was indicated for a public hearing on this bill. The public hearing request was pulled, and there is a substitute for the bill that is in your packet. And so, Senator Melson, if you could explain your bill, explain the sub, maybe a little bit of the difference between the two, what you're doing there, all in one fell swoop, and then I'll offer your sub.
That'll be great.
Thank you.
The first one was more of a statewide. The sub simply narrows it down to where it's a statewide with local application. And then it has a few things about bonding power. And also, we decrease the amount that they could raise if they decide to have their own economic development to 0.75. It was 2, but it's now changed, like it should have been to 0.75. So if you don't mind, I'd like to adopt that, and we can work off that.
Okay, so I'm going to offer the sub. Do I have a second? A second by Senator Hovey. Let's call the long roll. Oh, sorry, Senator Carnley.
So this sub's going to take it down to where it just applies to Lauderdale County?
Yes.
So would that just make it a local bill?
Well, actually, because their involvement would be with 3 other counties, it would be a local, but multi-county, so it will apply like a local bill. And the reason we did that is we, in the past, have tried to work with the delegation, and there was no success. A House member who lives in the adjoining county would not sign it out, so this just is a way to get the same effect.
So, Senator Carnley, my understanding, if this helps, is it's a multi-jurisdictional entity in and of itself, and so it would have to be a little bit broader than that. Is that correct?
It's correct.
Okay.
I mean, if you had a fully compliant and cooperative delegation, it could be done the other way, but yes.
Thank you, Senator Melson. Senator, I'm sorry, peanut gallery over here. Senator Coleman Madison.
Thank you, sir. Senator, what is the reason behind the bill?
The reason behind it is,
Well, say it again then.
okay, no, I didn't say it. The reason behind the bill is because, like a marriage that you go in, you're all excited, it's happy, but one of you has more to lose than the other one, and there's no prenup. In this situation, there was no prenup, no escape away from the Economic Development Authority. So one county wishes to go to negotiate again. The other's not willing because they are getting the advantage of having the less assets, but get all the money. And we just want to make it where we have been trying to negotiate for 4 or 5 years without success, and it's time to force the hand.
Okay, is this, did this come before us in another disguise last year?
No, ma'am.
Are we sure?
Well, mine didn't.
Okay.
But somebody
But somebody did. Somebody's did.
Why would y'all bring that up?
What you mean, why did I bring it up? Because it's related. So,
But if you go to page 2, you'll see on line 40 and 41 how it's only related to Lauderdale County.
40 and 41.
Line 40 and 41.
Of the sub.
I don't think that gets it, but basically what you're saying is that if a county just, okay, we're all in this together, like you said, and all of a sudden one county decides that this is not beneficial for our county and we want to be out, but you have a binding agreement that you'll have all signed.
Right. Well, nobody signed it. It was legislative. So.
All right, legislative,
And at
but
that
it
time,
just
the
gives them an
senator from
opt-out.
had both counties.
Now, let me ask you something. How does this affect the resources or things that people have put into? I know you said that.
The remaining resources and the cash on hand would have to be divided in an agreeable manner, and if it doesn't, then it would need to go to court. The assets would already in the counties, like Colbert County has certain assets, Lauderdale has spec buildings, and those things would have to be worked out in some form or fashion, which they would need to sit down and have that discussion.
This would not constitute in any way a taking from one county of something that is in that particular county.
No, their assets would remain with them in that county.
Okay.
Senator Coleman.
Thank you. I just a point. This piece of legislation and others like it, there is a reason we have local delegations. There's a reason for it. That those legislators represent those particular areas, those particular counties, and all of those legislators work collectively on what's in the best interest of the county or whatever the geographic area is.
Ideally.
I keep saying, well, just because somebody doesn't agree with you doesn't mean that, is wrong. It's just that, it's as if we are moving away from the delegations. Even the legislation we just dealt with, that really should have been something that should have gone through the Montgomery County delegation.
We tried. Previous year.
My point, thank you so much for making the point. So if you tried to take it through your delegation and it didn't move forward through the delegation, maybe that's not something you need to do, because collectively as a delegate, I'm just, and again, at this moment when I'm making this comment,
Yeah.
this is about lots of different pieces of legislation, not just this one. I don't even know if on this particular one I'm even against it. It's just the point that if we have a local delegation, it really should be left up to the local delegation to make the decisions that are best for the area that they represent. When we do it that way, you have Democrats and Republicans, black, white, male, female, whatever economic makeup of the members, whatever religious makeup of them, all of these people who represent the same geographic area coming in collectively and making the decision together. Sometimes it works on your behalf and sometimes it doesn't. That really is democracy.
Well,
but when we go beyond that, and because we can't get something or get our way, remember, I'm not talking about you, Senator. I'm really not. I'm not talking about you. This is just
It's
me.
okay.
I had a microphone, so I'm going to make my statement for whomever it applies to. Because we had it happen to us last year in Jefferson County with our Waterworks Board. The entire body voted on an initiative that only we should have been voting on in Jefferson County. But because the gentleman that was bringing the legislation could not pass it that way and wanted to create something else, change the name, all of this other stuff, put all these other counties in, the delegation did not get a chance to make that decision. And so if we're not going to honor the delegations, we just need to get rid of them. So we don't even think that that is the process anymore. I see you, but if all of the members in your delegation can't come to some kind of consensus, then maybe this is something that we should not be doing as a group. And to have to come to the entire body to overtake other members, I just feel is wrong. That's one person's opinion. I just think that it's wrong. And if this is going to be the posture of the legislature moving forward, just get rid of the delegations altogether if we're not going to work together. Because it's just unfair.
Can I address that?
Yes, sir.
So if you have a unanimous county commission and you have 4 out of 5 or 3 out of 4 delegation members, it's not right for that one to hold hostage your county and your commission and your multiple cities, because one, knowing a situation where they are able to take advantage of the other county to be able to continue and do that in a mannerism where we put in 65 cents on the dollar, they put in 35, but the opposite is spent. 65 spent in the other county and 35 in Lauderdale. It's been going on for 18 years, and it's time to change it. We have asked for money to spend for economic development and improvements in the water system, things like that. The last 45 days, the west end of the county has been told to boil their water because it's not drinkable. The east end of the county has asked for water as well, or no new houses. And people have wanted to put in houses, while the other county is now putting in infrastructure for people that are hoping to move here, or they're putting in for a new economic development. They're building a port up. That port is hopefully to get something in here, but nobody's going to be able to move to Lauderdale County because they can't even put in a new subdivision or any housing. So we're just trying to say, we need to do this to get you back to the table to have a leverage. Otherwise, you can continue to get the 65 cents on the dollar while you only put in 35, but you're getting it in reverse. And it's just time that Lauderdale has to do something, and that individual is able to hold it hostage. He lives in the other county with a small portion of Lauderdale, and I agree, delegation, you need to be able to work it out. But if it's a certain situation where somebody's a minority in a county, they can hold you hostage as long as they want and as long as they're reelected. And he's going to continue to get reelected because his county is getting the benefit, but he doesn't even really have enough voters to worry about in Lauderdale. And we have tried to get them back to the table now for about 10 years. And it's just time to hold them accountable.
Senator Coleman Madison.
Oh, I was going to respond.
Well, she got me first, so.
Well, thank you, Senator Melson, for that explanation. Is this permissive that, because I represent Jefferson County, and we've had enough done to Jefferson County, as we just heard the example. And what I don't want is this bill to be used as that example, because it's a shame that we have to kind of do an end run around what the local representatives or delegation want. But I just wanted to make sure that, okay, I understand your situation up there. I really understand it. The local rule, if one person disagrees, and we've had that issue as well in Jefferson County, where we had one obstinate person that would hold up something that was to the detriment of everybody. So how is there any guarantees that, okay, so let's say this passed, that this is not used as a tool for the detriment? You could still have that person. And I don't want it to be used as a bully club across the head of Jefferson County like it has been used.
Right. I can tell you that the only exit for Lauderdale County is just they have the right to quit collecting the tax. And then the whole Economic Development Authority goes away. They are trying to prevent that, and they're trying to get them to negotiate, sit down at the table, and find a compromise. And this is a way to make them come to the table.
Senator Coleman, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I just wanted to, because I know people watch us there, so I just wanted just to show the hypocrisy of this committee. Because this bill is getting ready to, and remember when I was making my statement, I told you it was not about you, your intent or any of that. I was using this as a moment to talk about what happens. And the example you gave, the 65-35, I mean, who knows? I mean, it could be a situation where the person that represents the 35% feels as if they're holding up the bloodstained banner to protect their area. I don't know that in this situation. But the hypocrisy of this committee, this bill is getting ready to pass, right? You just mentioned some numbers, 65-35, right? You're fighting on behalf of the 65%, all of the county commissioners and all of those people. Is that correct? Is that
Yes.
correct? All right.
Yeah. Well, actually,
Is that-
I'm
is-
fighting for the other 35 too, because it's going to go
All
away
right.
if they don't.
But you talked specifically about that 65 and how the 35 is holding it up. This gentleman, the bill we just passed, or the committee passed, represents over 70% of the city of Montgomery. And the person who represents less than 30%, this same committee just voted a bill out to impact that gentleman's district. That's the hypocrisy of this committee. That he can't stand up here for the 70% plus, and this committee say, okay, I'm gonna rock with him today because he represents 70% of the city. But with you, on this county issue, this same committee, because you're standing here, you're fighting for the 65% and all the county commissioners and all, they're gonna support this piece of legislation. And that's the hypocrisy of what happens here at the Alabama legislature. It's very frustrating to serve in the minority party in this body. I have been a part of the majority party in this body when I first got here all the way until 2010, and never did we impose the will on another legislator that represent an area without having a discussion, without allowing input. And it again, remember, I'm looking at you, but remember, this is not about you. This is about the hypocrisy of this committee and this legislative body. So we know it's gonna pass, and I just feel for the gentleman. 70+% of a city in this committee that he represents, and this committee just voted out a piece of legislation that he didn't want, that his constituents hadn't told him to come and fight on behalf of. That's what happens in the Alabama legislature. And so why people are talking about pop culture and all of this other craziness, we have voices in this legislative body that are not heard week after week after week. And not to hear that gentleman's plea for his city, it's wrong. So again, I know this was my soapbox on your bill, but it's about a whole lot of pieces of legislation. And the thing about politics is politics comes in cycles. I said when I first got here, I was in the majority party. Now I'm in the minority party. I've always been a woman that's in a minority and an African American in the minority. But things change in cycles. So the next cycle, when things change, whether it is this next quadrennial or 10 or 15 from now, when your family or your grandchildren or other folks will be impacted, just remember what it feels like when somebody else's will is imposed on you and your voice is not even heard. And that's what frustrates me. Ms. Chair, it's not even about you and this committee. It's just my frustration today on how this legislature works. And again, to sit up here and have this piece of legislation to pass in the face of this gentleman that represents the city, we just should not do that. Because if it's his city today, it'll be one of the other cities that we represent tomorrow.
Thank you, Senator. We have a motion and a second on the adoption of the sub. Clerk, call the roll.
Senator Albritton, Senator Carnley. Senator Chambliss. Senator Coleman. Senator Gudger, Senator Hatcher, Senator Kelly, Senator Coleman Madison, Senator Hovey, Senator Elliott.
Aye. Okay, we have adopted the sub. I'm going to move adoption of the bill as substituted. Second by Senator Carnley. Clerk, call the long roll, please. Okay. Is there any objection to using previous roll? Hearing none, your bill receives a favorable report. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Mr. Chairman. I picked a bad day to follow that bill, didn't I?